George Pearlman, who has run Pearlman Pottery in St. George, Maine for 22 years and has been making one-of-a-kind ceramics for 37 years and shown them all over the world. He will explain to you what absolutely everything means. Please welcome George.
Okay, go ahead. I have my own gallery, and I have the privilege of meeting my customers and talking to them firsthand about what I'm up to in my work. And as anyone who works with the public in Mid-Coast Maine knows, there are 4 or 5 questions that almost everyone asks. And because of all the practice answering the same questions over and over, you develop an elegant set of responses, sort of a retail martial arts. And there's one question that I get with a little less frequency, but it requires my highest retail martial arts skills. A typical scenario is I'm working in my studio, having a lovely day, and someone comes into my gallery and I stop working and I walk into the gallery and there's a smiling couple and they look thrilled at what they're seeing, which is good news for both of us. And we exchange pleasantries, and then one of them's fascinated by a particular piece and asks the question something like, what were you thinking when you made this piece? Or essentially the question, what does this mean? And it sets off a whole series of thoughts racing through my head. Oh man, there it is again, that what does it mean question again. I know it doesn't matter if the viewer gets the artist's intention as long as they get whatever meaning they want, but still it's really weird to think you have something so clear and they realize it's an entirely different idea to someone else. Is it morally correct to force my meaning and intentions into someone's head? Doesn't that limit an artwork to only one correct meaning, which takes away its ability to have enough room for everyone else's story, as all great art has? And on the other hand, they are meeting me, the artist. They have traveled from far away and found me and my work here in what seems to them to be the middle of nowhere. And here I am, able to tell them my secrets, and don't I owe them that honesty? I completely believe that having strong intentions always creates the strongest work, but won't people be horrified by my strange chain of thoughts that gets me to my results? And if I talk too much about a piece, aren't I just telling a story and using language as my medium instead of clay? Doesn't visual art take us into the places that language can't express? After all, visual art is nonverbal, and while I'm constantly thinking while I'm working, those thoughts also include the interruptions of phone calls and visitors like you people in my gallery right now. I was just working on a piece in my studio, and now this conversation has entered my head, so now you, the people in my gallery, are actually part of the conversation in my head, and will definitely in some way get into my work after you leave, and maybe it's your story that takes over my story, or they collage together. I'm still silent just long enough to get another question. It looks like it relates to Tiffany lamps or Art Nouveau. Are you interested in that work? Well, that's an easy retail martial arts answer, and I say, I appreciate that work, but it's never been a direct influence for me. And I'm quiet again, and the thoughts race. They want an answer. They want the answer. I want the answer. They want to know what this means, what historical references. I should go dig up my 125-page graduate thesis for them. 37 years of exploring in my studio, libraries, art shows, museums, lectures, artist demonstrations, book groups, traveling, wandering through history, and while there are so many things I've been excited about, right now the work is more autobiographical than anything else, but only sometimes. And if the idea of meaning is a moving target, doesn't that mean that it's simply a collage of one's life and experiences reflected back through mastery of a certain medium? And if each of our lives is a sum total of all this randomness, really, wouldn't that mean that the most valid answer to what does this mean would be, I'm currently researching the concept of meaninglessness. And can I tell a potential customer who wants to bring my work into their home and who will pay with their hard-earned money for the privilege that what they're buying is meaningless? No way. Because it's not meaningless, it's not an empty void, it's the opposite. It's not nothing, it's something. It's so overflowing that it starts looking like randomness filling a bowl. And isn't that meaninglessness as an idea, a concept, a modus operandi, an actual meaningful thing in a one with everything kind of way? Say something, but definitely don't share these thoughts. And I speak out loud. I have many ideas about what I'm up to in my work, and I know what I'm thinking, but I'm much more interested in what you're thinking because you're obviously enjoying the experience, and I'm so curious as to why. Or on days where I feel bold and the world needs more radical honesty, I'll say, There's a possibly endlessly long answer to your question about what this means, which I'm sure you don't want to hear. But my shorter answer is that it took me almost 4 decades to get this piece onto this pedestal in front of you right now. And I kind of feel like my job is done, and now it's your job. Did I just say that out loud? I mean, it's really kind of true. I can't possibly have the experience of the infinite collage of experiences that make up their life story, which obviously is making them have a positive experience of the reflection of my life story. And I'm truly curious about what they're thinking for the same reason they're curious about what I'm thinking. Shouldn't I make the effort to share the moving target of meaning? It's all so vast and chaotic even. If we could just accept their randomness and wonder. Or do we need hard objective truths? God, do we need objective truths these days? Hasn't the evolution of the scientific method over the last 2,000 years allowed us to live in a world devoid of meaning and reduced everything to a true or false conclusion so we can live in objective truth? And is that meaninglessness? Science uncovered the power of the atom, but it can't decide whether we should or should not create bombs or reactors. Is that what meaning is, the should or should not pursuit of objective truth? Or is that emotional wisdom? There are objective truths. There are moral decisions being made about them. Wait, they seem very interested in that piece. And I speak up. You seem very interested in that piece. I can move it around the gallery so it can be in the appropriate lighting. It can be here by the window for sunlight. Here I have incandescent light. I have fluorescent over there, halogen over here, and LED over there, and then I have LED with a warm filter on it over here. What kind of lighting do you have in your home? I think to myself, oh man, just changing the lighting can change our experience completely to warm, cold, intense, or soft, and the technology is changing so fast. No wonder it's hard to say what things mean. We don't even know what they look like. And by the way, the images you're seeing here today, this evening, have been photographed in tungsten light, which of course you'd be crazy to use for lighting at home, but really, what are we seeing? And is seeing believing? Maybe I could tell them that everything happens for a reason, and the universe is always conspiring in their favor, and everything was meant to be, and the Lord works in strange ways. Not that I'm the Lord, but I am the creator in this particular scenario. And they interrupt my thoughts with another question and ask, so what's it like here in the winter?